Hello, folks. This is Keith with the Genoa Institute. This is a fraud paperwork alert. Basically, what happened was one of the members that we had got our paperwork. He didn't share our paperwork. He shared the concept of it and turned or I guess they're trying to say that there's a LLC with a trust and a PMA all bundled up into one in this paperwork, and they're charging $695 for it, which in fact the paperwork is nothing more than a fraud. It's a what they call a tax evasion scheme type deal, and we have to put a fraud alert out because if it ever comes back that he came and went to the Genoa Institute, we have to tell everybody we didn't teach it. We had nothing to do with this. We didn't even know about it until about 4 or 5 days ago. And it took a couple of days for someone to send us a generic paperwork that he had. So his pen name is John Singleton, and like I said, we hate to do this, we really do, but it's necessary, and we have to. So here we go. Here's some of the paperwork that we're going to be talking about. I'm not going to show it all to you. It's really it's kind of redundant to show every bit of it. So here we go. Okay, here's a memorandum of articles of association. It goes, it starts out registered number, Missouri, is a Missouri limited liability company registered on the date, blah, blah, blah. This is a single member limited liability company organized for all lawful purposes. You always watch it out when somebody starts saying lawful purposes. Okay, when they start doing that, it means there's something up in the paperwork. There's no reason to put that in there. And are not require licensing of any kind. Well, that can't be done in an LLC. That's the wrong type of business to do that in. Each member holds an undivided interest, which may be determined and tabulated from time to time as members determined to be necessary. So if it just kind of pops right out at you at the time. Each member holds an undivided interest, which may be determined and tabulated from time to time as the member is determined to be necessary. This is a single member limited liability company. Each member, this is plural. It's a single member limited liability company. See, I read that as one member. Do you guys read that as one member?
Yes.
Yeah.
First two sentences there, it contradicts itself.
Right. Each member, and then it's like there's a plural here. Okay. And this is a single member limited liability. This is a big red flag, folks. That's a fraud. Okay. You just lied in your articles of association. Can't do that. All right. No member shall be liable for the debts and obligations of the company. So you went from a single membership to a plural membership to a no membership. And somebody's charging $695 for this. I mean, Mr. Singleton's charging $695. That's a complete rip. It's a huge ripoff. Let me read some of the notes I have on this because I've already been talking to some of the groups to have them be aware of this. It says, no member shall be liable for debts or obligations of the company. Now, that statement means there's no company because there are no members. But yet you just saw there was a single and a plural membership, and then now there's no members. A company cannot have members if the members are not liable for the debts or obligations of the company. Neither can a PMA, meaning private membership association, own 100% of an LLC, which is what I'm not going to show you, but it just goes down. He's saying that the PMA owns 100% of an LLC. And own the LLC at the same time and have no other members. That doesn't make any sense. You can't own 100% of an LLC as a member, and then the PMA is supposed to own the LLC at the same time. Like I said, these were notes. That does not make any sense. It says a PMA can have a financial department that is serviced by an LLC, even if the LLC is donating its time to the PMA. But if the LLC wants autonomy, it is better served to be owned by a trust. Okay. So we have never seen anything so convoluted in our lives. When we were looking at this paperwork, it says what is being sold for $6.95 cancels itself out, wherein everyone that uses the paperwork will be faced with this: you have failed to file your individual tax return 1040 because you are not buying an LLC or a PMA nor a trust in any way based on the wording of the docs. So one section has forced association in it. Same section has no trustee. There's wording in that attempts to create two separate trusts, but neither is completed. There's no constitution and bylaws for the PMA. That's incomplete. You have one attempted trust trying to appoint a blockchain as a trustee, and another trying to use the LLC articles as terms and conditions of the trust. And they're trying to use the articles of agreement as terms and conditions of the PMA. That's what we're noticing too. So someone asked in that group, they said, well, how about we team up? Like Singleton teams up with the Genoa Institute. Now, I put in there, how about we team up? ? Says there's enough fraud in these documents to go to jail for about 20 years. It is a clear tax evasion scheme. Anyone can see that. And there is no way that the Genoa Institute would team up with someone that has caused this mess. And we have to release a fraud alert video to stay at arm's length of this debacle. Like I said, we don't teach this, okay? The reason is when Singleton gets caught, we have a really good feeling that we will say that the Genoa Institute taught them this mess, and that they come trying to find the source of the fraud. I said, team up. You're out of your mind. I said, why would we need Singleton, and he also owes some other people their money back? I said, then we do appreciate the positive spin, but no. Okay. So what we had to do was we went and got some LLC articles for him as articles of agreement. They said, because they said, so if all this is true, what is the remedy for us to have purchased and are using the LLC? We should dissolve right away. I said, no. I said, all that have bought the debacle, you can obtain a free articles of agreement. Okay, at least you can. All you did was overpay for an LLC is what happened. And there are others on the net that have free services. So we gave them a link to the legalcontracts.com. Okay, so if you go to legalcontracts.com, CONTRACTS.com, you can get at least a free articles of agreement if you've bought this thing. I said, at least you'll be able to salvage the LLC. The so-called trust and PMA will have to be discarded from the LLC. A new operating agreement can be amended anytime with a generic one available. It's perfectly legal to amend your articles of agreement. This is all the also the operating agreement. It says you will see a big difference in generic articles and agreement than you have now. Okay, so I just wanted to tell everybody that we are trying to help these guys, and they really just need to get their money back, because this is probably that's a huge scam to do that to people. It's not good. No single member maintains an exclusive right to spend or sell the property of the company until a consensus is reached by the members. Now, when you use this term here, it makes it a political organization. Consensus is reached by the members. It should say a vote until a majority vote is reached. Okay. There are currently no disbursement schedules and all these other things. And this basically doesn't say anything. Okay. I mean, I really don't even know what it actually says, other than it tells you that there's a registration number and it's entitled to sue and be sued. That's basically it. Now, here's the weird part, okay? Um, the period in which this company shall operate is perpetual or until dissolved by the state or the members. That doesn't make I'm sorry. That doesn't make any sense. The only way the state can dissolve it is if you fail to re-register it. Have you ever heard of that, Howard? I don't get that unless you're just assuming you're going to be dissolved by the state.
No, I've never heard anything like that.
I mean, and you got two different states here. You got the state of, and then you've got the state. There's no here and after the state in there. So this state and this state is just they're separate from each other. Now it says location of the company is blank and not necessarily where the members or signers reside. Oh, okay. Well, you don't really have to write that. That's where you have a registered agent. You know, that's normal business, doing business. This is organized in perpetuity until dissolved by the members. Well, I thought it was until dissolved by the state or the members. And nothing's consistent. I'm not going to go through this whole thing. It's a lot of it is, I mean, about 90% of it is like that. What we're dealing with, holistic worldwide. I don't get that. Okay. Then they come in and says, and they read this, they write this stuff. I hereby certify that this authorized signatory of blank LLC, I have no 0% ownership interest in this company at this time. Okay, well then how are you the authorized signatory? The blank society private membership association owns all 100% of the ownership interest in this company. Well, you can't do that and then have members. You got nothing else to, that means you don't have any members. We're back to that again. We were from single membership, multiple membership to no membership. Now another, once again, no membership. So you have no LLC is what I'm trying to explain. There is no company here, folks. You're not buying anything. There's no company. All right. Then it has a society PMA that all of a sudden owns everything, but there's no, but it has no constitution or bylaws. There's nothing there. Then it has an anti-money laundering certification. Whatever bank, I mean, if they have an approval on this, they're setting them up big time for a tax scheme. Okay, so that's it on that. I'll show you this other one, then we'll go ahead and I think we'll get our point across here. Okay, here's the limited liability company operating agreement. Now you can't use this. Now this operating agreement is made and entered into and among the blank society, a private membership association. Well, you can't run a private membership association with a limited liability company operating agreement. That's not how that works. They're two separate organizations. Does anybody have any objection to what I'm saying about this? This is not how this works.
No, I'm still trying to make sense of it.
No objection here.
All right, and folks, I've got two witnesses on here to tell you that it's not just me. I'm telling you, this is not good. Okay, so the members form a limited liability company under the name LLC on the terms and conditions in this operating agreement and pursuant to international law as expressed in the law of nations and the rights of association. That's all good and well, but you just said a freaking private membership association is a member. I don't get that. I don't understand how a private membership association can own 100% of something and also be a member at the same time. Doesn't it have to be an executive manager or a CEO or something, or I don't know.
Yes.
And how can it own 100% of the shares? You have nobody else. That means it's not a company. So basically, a PMA with no constitution and bylaws owns 100% of the shares of something that doesn't exist because it has no members, and you can't make it viable by saying, "Oh, and at the same time, the PMA is a member." Can you imagine what that would be like in a courtroom if they get sued? The judge would. I'm telling you, any judge worth their salt would pretty much take pity on you and say, "Look, you need to get your money back on this and go to a lawyer and get." That's what the judge would say. I'm not me. I'm just saying that was what a judge would say. You need to get a lawyer and go start a real LLC. Okay, if you're going to do this, I mean, I'm just saying, it's nothing here. Okay, and then there's a couple of things down here. None of this makes any sense, folks. This is all gibberish. So I'm not going to throw all that at you and then, expect to try to make sense of it. It's just ridiculous. Here's a declaration of an irrevocable trust within the operating agreement of an LLC that's owned by a PMA, folks. Come on. That doesn't make any sense. There's no such thing here. So there's one, there's one declaration of irrevocable trust. No, you can't do that. And they're trying to do it between the trustor and the PMA for the beneficiary, which designation shall include all successors or interests of the beneficiary. We don't even know who that beneficiary is, by the way, because there's no trust that establishes it. You can't declare a trust into existence under an operating agreement of an LLC. It has to have its own deal, okay? Then there's another one where it comes in. It talks about the private key or secret key, cryptography. Cryptography. And it goes, I'm not going to listen to that. Now it comes into blockchain tax immunity trust. So now we're dealing with two separate trusts, one LLC that doesn't exist. Neither trust exists, and the PMA doesn't really exist because there's no constitution and bylaws. And that's why we said in the beginning, they're going to cancel out all these organizations when they're looking at this and say, okay, how much money did you make on this blockchain thing? And they'll probably come up with an amount. Okay, you need to pay taxes on that under an individual income tax thing. I'm just saying that that's about 90% of the probability of what's going to happen. Because they're going to say this is not a tax haven. You can't have a blockchain tax immunity trust because you can't declare whether something is tax immune or not. You can say what they call tax exempt, but you can't claim tax immunity if you're going to be operating in that system. Okay? We're just saying that system. There's a way to operate outside of that system. It's there. And they'll tell you every day, if you don't want to pay the taxes, don't operate in that system. This is the way it works. So he said the beneficiaries have irrevocably conveyed to the trustee one or more types of cryptographic units of account, assets, or tokens in various quantities to the trustee by deed, absolute in form, in which said property shall be held irrevocably by the trustee. Still not, that has to be a part of the trust, not within the operating agreement. In trust for the following uses and purposes under the terms of this agreement shall be hereinafter referred to as the trust property. Now, I didn't really get what this was until I started realizing that the trustee was the actual blockchain. Okay, and then if you start walking through here, you start realizing that they're talking about, a blockchain type deal. Okay, that means there's no trustee. Actually, there's nothing there. It's incomplete. Okay, is there anything that, okay, you guys have been in business a long time. I've been in business a long time. I've seen a lot of stuff. You have immunity from taxation. The trust is an unincorporated association between the crypto. Okay, the trust is an unincorporated association Okay, unincorporated association, folks, is a PMA. A trust is either a trust or it's not a trust. It either has a trustee, I'm sorry, a grantor, trustee, and beneficiary. It's got to have all three of those. There's no such thing as an unincorporated association. Between the cryptographic currency exchange organization and the beneficiary, in which the trustee provides software or other services that enable the beneficiary to manage his property rights, evidenced in one or more open ledger blockchains. Okay, so there it is right there. The cryptographic currency exchange organization. Now, what you would have to do if you want some kind of thing like that, you have got to go to the cryptographic currency exchange organization and have one of them sign as trustee for your coins. You can't just, what did you say the other day, Pete, when you saw that? It's about forces.
The only thing I'm thinking right now is that is forced association.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're making someone liable that has nothing to do with the mess that you were creating.
Right. And it says the beneficiary to manage his property rights and evidence in one or more open ledger blockchains. No, no, that's not how that works. You can't say, here, you're going to do this and I'm going to force you to do it. I'm giving you're getting this property, and on your blockchain, you're responsible for my property. That's an impossible legal association, because number one, it does not work. And number two, you can't, how are they going to stop anyone from hacking in your account? Just that question alone. That's an impossible thing.
There it is. His limited liability here is putting all the liability on the forced association trustee or trustor. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
that's what it was. That's where his limited liability comes in. No liability, in other words.
Yeah, I'm going to give you this. If you lose it, I'm going to sue you for recovery. That's what he's doing. He's setting up the currency exchange for liability for losing coin. You can't. That's unbelievable. All right. So now you get what we're trying to say. That you can't do this. The cryptographic unit of account, asset, or token is not bonded nor taxable unit of currency issued by or within any taxing jurisdiction. Well, you can't really declare that. All you can say is that, as far as you understand it, cryptocurrency is private property, as interpreted by, and in whatever case you're talking about, it's interpreted. So, but why bring it up if it's done that way? In other words, all you have to do is just state that is private property, and that's it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you're welcome to come and join a Telegram group that I've set up with a link. I'll put a link in the down below the video, and you're welcome to ask any question that you want. But this is a definite fraud package that the Genoa Institute has nothing to do with, nothing with from creating it, nothing from distributing it. It was not ours in any way. We just found it about 4 or 5 days ago from a member, and they put this together themselves. We did try to contact the member. The member has ignored the emails and the direct messages on Telegram. Okay, so it's not like we're doing this behind his back or surprising him in any way. We've notified him and said, look, you need to talk to us, but he has elected to ignore us. So we have to put this out. Once again, we're not trying to trash people or anything. We do have to cover ourselves that we are completely separate from this deal. There is no taxing statute, regulation, published tax rate, or you don't have to put all this stuff in there. This is for show. This is to make people feel good that are buying this package for $6.95. Oh, because it says it there, then okay, that must be real. Because you write it down and say exactly what they want to hear. However, if you get crypto and the crypto goes up in value, you can spend the value, not a problem. But the problem here that you got is if you turn it back into USD, that's when they tax you. Am I right or wrong, Howard? And that where it's a taxing event?
Yes, from my understanding.
From my understanding also, okay? That's really what's going on. And I don't, it's listed as private property. I don't know if they changed that. Don't quote me on that. Go check it up for yourself, because I don't deal with a lot in crypto. That's just one of the understandings I have that according to some articles. And I don't really deal much in crypto. I would say if you're going to invest in something, the silver and gold is probably your best investment of any investment that you have. And the same with property, buying businesses. So anyway, that's it right there. The man's name is John Singleton. It's a pen name, but that's what he goes by. And if you see this right here, I'm not saying taunt the guy or whatever. Just steer away from it. And if you've bought this, I would try to get my money back, because you just basically bought nothing. I'm sorry to say, but that's the way it is. So thanks for listening, folks. Want to try to keep this as short as possible. And, get a hold of us on Telegram. We'll leave the link. Thanks for listening.